I would like to begin this episode by acknowledging that I am located in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and I am privileged and honored to live and learn on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishnaabeg Algonquin Nation.
Hello, you're listening to Trench Leadership, a podcast from the front, produced by iGlen Studios, a show for emerging leaders from all professions. To hear from other leaders who have led from the front, made the mistakes, had the triumphs, and are still learning along the way. And now, here's your host, Simon Cardinal.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Trench Leadership, a podcast from the front, a show for emerging leaders across all professions. When we think of all the challenges that emerging leaders experience, often we think of imposter syndrome, perseverance, the self-imposed push to rush, and resilience. And these are just a few of the many challenges we face while we are trying to work through organizational goals, all the while continuing to manage our teams and the projects. The thing is, in the moment, we often didn't realize the value and learning of challenges we were experiencing, much less take the time to reflect and appreciate all of the things we had on our radar and how they have shaped us. In this episode, you'll hear from Mark Bentz, a business owner, Paralympian athlete, and renowned speaker. Mark will offer his story relating how his personal journey has shaped him both personally and professionally. Mark will also explain how he has learned to use what used to be on his radar to help him understand what's on the scope right now. But as always, it's not about me, it's about the guest and ensuring that I stay as quiet as I possibly can. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mark. Hey, Mark, how's it going out there?
Simon's going great. Having a great day.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. You know, I always enjoy talking to fellow Canadians. There's just something about talking with our fellow country people and having those rich conversations. In this particular case, you're way out in beautiful on the West Coast in beautiful British Columbia, and I'm still in Ottawa, Ontario, so that's fantastic. But it's just great to talk to other Canadians. And today it's even more special because I get to talk to an Olympic champion. How many people get to do that on a daily basis? Not me. I'm geeking out something fierce. So I love it. Before we get into it, I'd like to go ahead and do the visual interpretation, a visual introduction rather. And in this particular case, I am wearing a white golf shirt. It's got the Under Armour logo on it. I have a red sweater on. My background is an image of a stone wall with the Trench Leadership logo in white, and with purple highlights. The irony of that is that the actual Trench Leadership logo is meant to be in red, but that's how the item came from overseas. So what can you do? I still have black rimmed glasses on, and there's still far too much gray hair on the sides of my head. For Mark, he's got a really nice blazer on. It's kind of a grayish color. He's got a black shirt. He's got a couple of days growth of stubble beard going on there, looking fantastic. And it's kind of a baby blue background for the sides there. So, and that's it. Now, folks, this is the part where we really want to get into it. But before we start talking about the topic, I'd like to offer Mark the opportunity to come in and just provide a little bit of his own story, a bit of his background, and talk about how we got to this point.
Thanks, Simon. One thing I really appreciate is that description. That really works because I'm blind and I actually don't know what you look like and I don't know where you're sitting. And sometimes I don't know what I'm wearing and what color it is. So that was an awesome.
You really have to trust your family members to put the right clothes on, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. Over the years, as the sort of color vision of my sight is sort of gone. It's black or it's white, and whatever's in between is Lord knows. But the day will play out the way it's meant to be, I say to myself. So life's good with respect to myself. 55, so. Like I said, I'm blind, and things certainly had an interesting turn of events when I was 9, and that's when I was diagnosed with my eye condition, and it's called cone rod dystrophy, and it's progressive disease to zero, and it's slow. It's been going on for decades now, which I'm totally appreciative of, because of course it's allowed me over the years to imprint so many visual memories. And that vision loss has just defined everything in my life. The good, the bad, the ugly. the stress, the joy, like, oh my God, it's amazing. And as everybody goes through their lives, there's just so much ups and downs and all arounds that it's cool for me to be able to look back and go, wow, this vision loss, which, terrified me as a young boy. I just didn't know what to do. I did some pretty unresourceful things as a young person to deal with the pain of all of it. But, I look back and I go, wow, the journey's the journey. And thankfully I had this journey, because it really created some amazing outcomes in my life. And I've had so many great experiences, and it's all come from a pretty serious hardship. So very, very appreciative of this eye condition. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if it went away. I've learned my lessons. So I wouldn't mind if I got some eyesight back. But as it stands, it's been an incredible journey. And during my life, I've met really cool people like you most recently, where I've seen you've just done amazing things in your life. And I mean, that's how we got connected, is, reaching out and saying, geez, here's someone doing things, making things happen, living life on his terms. And that's how we got connected. So that's a brief background on me.
Well, thank you so much for talking about that. And because for this episode, a lot of what we're going to be discussing will revolve around how your story has shaped you to get to the point where you're at, and understanding that when we're starting out, things are going to be tough, and we're always going to experience various types of challenges, and quite often things that we certainly weren't expecting that may quickly fix themselves or may be around forever. We just don't know. But it's about living in those moments and experiencing them and taking away the learning from that. And I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind, when you and I were chatting before, you talked a little bit about it more in depth about some of the experiences you went through when you were first diagnosed, and ultimately how they got you to becoming an Olympic champion and a very successful entrepreneur.
Sure. I mean, early on, when I got diagnosed, it was just like, wow, what am I going to do? I remember specifically the day when I got diagnosed. And I was sitting there with my mom, and I was just saying to myself, God, I just want to go home. I want to chuck the football around. I want to go for a bike ride with my friends, like, Jesus, this is just a path I don't even understand. And it just started to play out. Life started to play out like it does. You don't know what it's going to be. You have no clue what's going to be tossed at you, but it does play out. And one amazing thing back then was I was really good at skiing. I grew up skiing. I was 2 years when I started skiing. My family would go to Whistler all the time, and it was a very important part of our family. And then, of course, my friends. And so I kept doing that. And what was interesting about my vision loss is in my teens, I was like, whoa, you know what? How am I going to ski with my friends? Because it's progressive, and it was getting to a point where it was hard to do. And I was like, geez, now something's really, truly interrupting a joy in my life. And I took that as a time to get very curious and resourceful and go, how can I figure this out? Because I do not want to stop skiing with my buddies. And so for 12, 13, 14, 15, I figured out this technique where I just follow my friends down the hill, and we would always race. We're little boys. You either win or lose as a little guy, and then you just keep telling each other how much a loser you are if you lost, and if you're a winner, you're king of the hill, right? So that's the type of mindset we had. And
exactly. And for all little kids.
Yeah, you just, everything is, I've always been very playful. So back then, that really that was the track I was on. But what it gave me was the ability to become a very good skier, because we were trying to follow the crazy Canucks, and they were a team of downhill skiers in the 80s, and they were the Canadian national team. And so as young boys, that's who we wanted to emulate. And so I would follow one friend down the top of the run down Grouse Mountain. And then when we got steeper, I would move over to my other buddy, because I knew he could ski better in the steeper parts. When it got to the bottom and there were bumps, I'd move over to Alan, because Al could do the bumps. And I'm just strictly matching and mirroring everything they're doing. And my sight was better back then. I mean, I couldn't do that now, but back then I could do that. And so I became amazing at following and handling a lot of speed. And then a very fortunate thing happened to me when I believe 14, my 14th year. I was up at Whistler. My mom saw a lady with an amputee skiing with 2 outriggers, and she skied over and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she had a race suit on, and she's like, "Oh, we're here, and we're doing the BC Championships." And so, long story short, we got involved, and very quickly the coaches were like, "Wow, man, how did you learn to ski?" And I was like, "I don't know. This is what I do." And I had no clue what I was doing back then, because to me it was just skiing, but I was training myself in a way that when I went up against blind skiers, I was superior because I was learning in a visual world and I knew I had to keep up. So I was taking some crazy ass risks with my friends, which down the road paid off, because when I got into skiing on the Paralympic team, I was just wow. Like, they were just like, "Jesus, you really know how to do this." And I love the downhill because, again, my hero was Steve Poborski. He was one of the crazy Canucks. So got into the Paralympics, and amazing in the Paralympics, what happened to me was I actually passed my guide in our run. So in the gold, when I won the gold medal in that run in the downhill in Austria, Innsbruck, Austria, I passed my guide. And now that's a very bad thing to do when you're in blind skiing. And I had no clue where I was going. But fortunate enough, Simon, luck was on my side. Someone's always looking over me. I've always thought someone's always looking over my shoulder. And I passed him. I went past a few gates, but there were straight ahead gates. I didn't need to turn. He caught up to me because I got to a steeper part. We went through 3 more gates. Boom, we crossed the finish line, and I was way ahead. And I thought to myself, I still get tingles in my body. I got them right now. And I thought to myself, that was a pivotal moment in my life, because I could have easily have slowed down and stayed behind my guide. Easily. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. But just something in me just said, "No, this is it, man. We're here." Like, ski meant everything to me. Like, I was one of those crazy Canucks now. And I passed him, and we won the gold medal. And wow, I got home, and I just like, what an experience. Like, what an outcome I just had. I'm on the world stage. I've won a gold medal. I go back to high school. High school was tough for me. I didn't apply myself. I chose to basically hang out, build friends, and I guess what most teenagers do, but they could also read the textbooks. I couldn't, and I was not a good student, let me tell you. But winning the gold medal, wow, that really helped. So that was the beginning of my teenage years. And that really, in my teenage years, got me to a place of a real accomplishment at a time when I was just losing. Everywhere I turned, I was losing. You know, I couldn't drive at 16, couldn't read the textbook. I was like, wow, am I ever going to get a girlfriend? You know, like, I was facing a lot of loss. So that was one of the experiences that really set a strong foundation.
Well, thank you so much for that. And what I find interesting inside this story is you organically found something that you found some passion with, and you ran with that. It's interesting because for myself, my story about when I was around that age was I knew that I always wanted to be in the military. There was never any question. For a bunch of different reasons, that's what I wanted to do. But kind of similar to yourself, I went to school. I knew I needed high school at least, but I didn't put the effort in. And many times that I have teachers pull me aside and tell me, "Simon, if you just put the effort in and actually do the homework, you'll get straight A's. You'll do very well." But I was more interested in my girlfriend and going out and not putting that effort in. So I did just enough to get by, but not. But focusing on the other things. I was in Air Cadets, and I thought that was the thing that was going to get me through and do whatever. For myself, what had happened is when I went to apply to the military, and the recruiter made it very clear to me that I was not worthy to join the Canadian Forces at that time. And I had to go back and do a bunch of minor things like get a driver's license and not have it get suspended for speeding, go back to school and get better grades, get a job and hold the job, not get fired. You get the idea, all these different things. And I had that pivotal moment where I realized, okay, I can have this passion, but I need to move forward and do other things, because if I want to be successful in a general perspective, how am I going to do that? So I guess this was my long-winded way of getting to the question to you of, after the skiing and becoming an Olympic champion, a gold medal champion, was there a moment that something happened in you where you said, okay, now's the time, I need to get through this. I need to get over myself or whatever to move on to the next step in my life?
Boy, I wish there was a quicker way, but there wasn't. I was a world champion, Simon, and then I became a world champion at partying. And I actually didn't even graduate from high school. That's how poor my marks were. All my buddies went to university. I majored in partying, and I thought, okay, well, this feels good. I was meeting girls. I was getting drunk. That type of behavior helped distract me from the bigger issue of, what am I really going to do here? Like, this is getting serious. I have nothing to fall back on. I couldn't even graduate high school. What's going to happen? And it took me a long time to learn more lessons to be able to figure it out. So did another 5 years of partying. And I did some fun things, did a bit of traveling, went through Europe, worked up in the Rockies at a ski resort. But really, I was lost, and I couldn't find a place to grow from. And it actually got me to about 20. I got back from the Rockies there at Banff. And I remember I was doing this job. I couldn't get a job, right? People, it's nothing like today. People are just like, oh, it'd be nice to hire you, but you can't see you. I don't know what you're going to do. There was no jobs. So I did get a job cleaning restaurants. And it was 3 a.m, and I cleaned 3 to 7 in the morning. And I would go there after the bar. And I remember sitting, it was Bridges, this restaurant in Granville Island. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. It's been there forever. It's just changed its name. All right, it's sort of just added to its name, but it's been there for decades. And I remember sitting out on the patio 7:30 after work, and I'm like, oh my God, I could not continue down this path. This is brutal. My friends were now graduated in masters, taking their master's degree, and what am I doing? I'm cleaning restaurants and partying. And I was like, that's it. It's going to change. And I got introduced to massage therapy. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. What is that? I've never had a massage. I went to this introductory night, and I knew at that moment, it wasn't within 60 minutes, I thought to myself, this is it. This is something I can build on. And the only reason was like, you know what? If I go totally blind, because I never thought I would ever go totally blind. If I go totally blind, I could always practice this profession, and no one can take it away from me. And that knowledge of knowing no one can take something away from you, when all my life, my vision was being taken away from me, gave me the strength, the self-esteem, the confidence, the sort of like, I'm drawing the line in the sand, and this is where I'm going. And so I went back to school, and I got educated, and I went into massage therapy, and that was it. It was the total turnaround from that point on. And I'm just, I had to go to the depths. I had to feel as shitty as I could, because you don't make a change. People can tell you a million things. You should do this, you should do that. I should do a lot of things. But the only way you do it is when you feel so much pain, you can go no further. And then you make a change.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're thinking of emerging leaders, in a lot of the cases, we're brought into these roles not because we've been proven ourselves as leaders, but because we've proven ourselves based on our technical acumen. And that brings with it, more often than not, a lot of fear and a lot of self-doubt and imposter syndrome and all the different words that we use to describe that. And quite often we feel lost. And how are we going to do this? Can I even do this? Why am I in this position? How did I get here? And did you find you were asking yourself a lot of those questions as you were going through this process?
Yeah. And also that's where all that pain came from, because I'm like, how am I going to live this way? I'm going blind. How am I going to do anything? Like, just from a blindness perspective, I had so much self-doubt. And even when I would have a success or two, it was like, oh, I don't really belong here. This isn't working out. I can't do this over the long term. They're going to figure this out. I'm not going to be good enough. And oh yeah, that is just, it's still here today. Like, there's still little chatters in the back of my head that says, hey, Mark, you shouldn't have this. Mark, this shouldn't be working for you. It could be taken away at any moment. Like, it's amazing that chattering negative or whatever we want to call that mind, how much control it has. And it really is it's just constant fear creeping into your life. And really over time, the one thing that has beaten it down, so it's just minor in the back of my head, is just incremental growth. Like incremental trust in what I'm doing and seeing results. And just going, okay, I learned this. Now I apply it. Oh, I've learned more. Now that I apply it, ooh, that was successful. Ooh, that's good. Oh my God, I failed there, but wow, I figured out how to be resourceful and to make that happen. And it only comes from all the pain. It only comes from all the failure. And it only comes from incremental growth, because you're looking back on it and saying, I've done it, I've done it, I've done it. And you're building that foundation. So again, everything I've done, I'm so appreciative of the journey. Boy, some of it was pretty fucking nasty, but it needed to happen. And it's great to see that imposter syndrome is just a little part of me still. But wow, when I talk to people, it's just, when you really get into a good conversation, it's just like, it's everywhere. Everyone has it. It's there.
I think most people live with some varying type or style or amount of imposter syndrome. And I personally feel that imposter syndrome is one of those things that it's never going to go away. You're never going to completely defeat it. It's all in how we choose to live with it or live within it or work with it. I think that's probably the terminology I'm looking for. How can we work with this to make it help us be part of who we are? Accept it. It's okay. Yeah. I'm not always going to trust myself. I'm not always going to have faith in myself, but I can take a moment and look at my successes. And I think in the context of talking to emerging leaders, that's a great point that you brought up, is that imposter syndrome will always be there. And you found ways to quiet that voice. It'll still be there. It's still going to be talking to you, but you're not going to let it run the show. And I think that's important. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
For sure. Like what you're saying there is, it's an amazing, when used well, and not when it's out of control, but when it's controlled, it's a great driver. It's a great motivator, because really what it also is doing is allowing you to question what you're doing, which is very good. It's great to question what you're doing, because I've gone down some crazy paths that were just like, whoa, you know what? I should have questioned myself a little bit more, because that's not the outcome I ultimately wanted. So that imposter always chattering in the back of your head saying, maybe this isn't right, you're not good enough, allows you, if you're curious, here's the thing, you want to be curious. Curiosity allows you to look at it in a positive light, as opposed to a fearful anxiety light. But if you're curious to sort of say, yeah, let me look at it this is a different angle, and let's question really what I'm doing. What are my outcomes? What are my intentions? What have I learned? If I'm going to make this decision, do I have enough information? Like, all those things are awesome things when you're curious. So yeah, definitely. Don't beat it into total submission. It has great value. So the issue is, don't let it completely run your life to the point of where you're fearful and anxious and you don't have an ability to appreciate your life.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Don't let it take control. For sure. And I'm just curious. So for myself, when I'm experiencing some type of self-doubt or self-loathing or whatnot, um, there are certain actual physical cues that I've forced myself to learn over time to recognize when I'm in that, because quite often in the moment, it's very, very difficult to recognize when we're even starting to spiral. In my case, I'll notice that my mind is starting to like my concentration is very difficult to maintain even thoughts while I'm having a conversation. Or I'll notice that when I'm typing, my spelling errors they tend to be much worse, or I'll just forget what I'm doing. So that forgetfulness, those are quite often moments in my mind when I'm engrossed in a task that are telling me, okay, Simon, you need to take a moment and wonder what's going on. And especially if I'm getting, and another thing for me is frustration, is when I'm very frustrated, it's usually an indicator that I'm questioning what I'm doing for whatever reason. So I'm wondering, in if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the things that you've noticed about yourself when imposter syndrome is starting to take in, and how were you able to then use that to work with the imposter syndrome?
Oh, hello there. It's Glenn, the voiceover artist. And if you're hearing me, that means we're at the midpoint of this episode. Do you have an idea for an episode that you feel is vital for emerging leaders? Leave the idea in the comments section, and if your topic is chosen, you will have the opportunity to join us as a co-host during the recording session. So, drop us a note and let's talk. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. And if you feel we've earned it, please tell your friends and leave a review to help us grow our following. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, well, your last point I think is perfect. You really got to it for me. It's frustration. When I feel frustrated, I'm not in alignment. And it could be that this isn't where I need to be, because am I trying to force something that really isn't something I want? Like, is it because someone else wants it for me and so I'm trying to conform? Or is it I'm trying to, live my life not on my terms? And so frustration is a great one for me, because frustration teaches me that I'm out of alignment. Because I just say to myself, why? Like, why am I frustrated? And typically when I truthfully answer those questions, when you really get deep into it, it is an alignment issue. It is, you're doing it for the wrong reason. And it could be quite simply, whatever, that person frustrates you or they didn't give you the documents properly. But am I frustrated that they didn't give me the documents properly? Or am I frustrated that I didn't train them properly to give me the documents? And so frustration and asking myself, is this really true, helps really, again, align me. It slows me down and gives me the area of curiosity to just check back in here. There's more going on. Don't speed ahead. Don't slow this ship down. Don't speed ahead. So I would say those two things really do help me.
Well, thanks so much for that. And I appreciate how you talked about slow things down, because quite often things will start to spiral and they will happen so fast we won't even recognize it's happening until it's almost over. And you're like, what is happening? And then the crawling out is very, very challenging. And the problem is, or the challenge we could say that, is that if we're in those leadership roles and people are expecting us to be going forward, how are we able to effectively serve our team if we're in this spiral? And that's a big part of this. So when we're in the spiral, just be honest with yourselves. And even go to your team members. My recommendation would be to talk to the team, say, hey, I need a minute. I'll be right back. Everything's okay. I need to reset. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a strength. And honestly, a lot of teams will respect the fact that there's a moment is there. Nothing is happening that you can't take a second to get reset, because more often than not, you're actually saving time because not having to go back and redo work because it wasn't done properly the first time or whatever. Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Well, it's amazing. I mean, Simon, you're reading my mind. I just had this exact experience with the team at my office. We were going through this issue. It was a billing issue. There was a lot of money involved, a couple $100,000. So it's like, it was getting serious. And they're all like, oh, it'd be really good if we had more information. We need more information. And I was like, guys, let's just slow it down here. We actually don't need more information. We need to take the information we have and, again, get curious and really examine what this means. Because if we just move forward for the sake of moving forward because we're getting ourselves whipped into a frenzy because we see that there's some financial implications that are pretty meaningful to us, if we're just rushing ahead, we could really create a catastrophic problem. So it's time to sit back. It's time to evaluate what we know. And then what I say to them is, here, guys, I may not know all the answers right now, but I know one thing: this will be solved. I will absolutely guarantee you this will be solved. But what needs to be done is for us to really look at all the information. And in teams, when you're the leader, people really want to look at you and say, you better, you need the answer. I mean, they're looking for you to lead them. And I've learned lately to be able to just say, I may not have the answer right now. That's, like, I'm sorry, this for me is not, I don't live in a fantasy world here. It's not like a TV show. I am critically looking at this. I'm not going to come up with an answer in 10 seconds or 10 minutes. But one thing I know is I'm going to get it right. Guys, I will figure this out. We will do it together. But it's a collaborative effort. And we're going to look at all the information. And at times it takes slowing this ship down. So yeah, I'm going through that exact experience. And as you say, the transparency and the honesty is important. But I also make sure that they know that the certainty is there. And the key is, I've seen every time you give people certainty in a crisis, it's a lot easier for them to deal with. Because they know, okay, this guy knows what's going on. He'll figure it out. Might not be right this second, but I got the right person to lead me. So that's the one thing I always lead with. And ultimately, because of all my life experiences, all of this stuff is so not, I wouldn't say futile, but it doesn't matter if I lose $200,000. It doesn't matter. Most of these things, I mean, I've gone through losing my eyesight all my life. Like, it teaches you some incredible lessons that I am absolutely certain I could solve almost anything else. So the certainty is a very fundamental, foundational piece that I have in my DNA over these years.
And it's interesting how that certainty is something that will carry over. And you don't even, and more often than not, the leaders were projecting that. Hey, even if there looks like some confusion, that's okay too. Because if we're showing ourselves and showing the teams that we're still in control, we're still doing our things, it's okay to feel the pressure, and it's okay to be frazzled and starting to feel frustrated. But as the leader, it's those important moments where, okay, we're feeling these things, but we're still able to control what we need to do. We're still able to keep pressing forward and achieve the objective or whatever we want to say. And that's the key with this, is to understand that we're still able to do these things. We still have earned the right to get into these roles. And which brings me to my next thought, in that as leaders, if you're feeling self-doubt, we weren't just put into this position. We were granted the opportunity to be leaders for very good reasons. And whether or not other people agree with that, honestly, that doesn't matter. So when I'm starting to have that self-doubt creep in, I'll actually sit down and I'll look at myself in the mirror sometimes, and I'll say it. Hey, I deserve to be here. I'm capable of doing this. And that happened to me a lot when I was brand new as a first leader in the Air Force, because I didn't believe that I deserved to be there. I had some fantastic imposter syndrome going on. It was working very well to defeat me. And it took me having to sit down and writing out a list of all the things that I thought that made me a strong leader. And I went and I kept it for a while just to remind myself. And that was okay. That worked. That strategy worked for me. Do you have, with that in mind, Do you have any types of physical strategies that you might recommend for leaders when they're feeling that self-doubt creeping in?
Well, the most important thing, so I am also a trainer with the Tony Robbins organization, and the most important thing that we work on that works the fastest is changing your state. So what that means is potentially go for a run, potentially get up, walk around, do 10 push-ups, have a glass of water. Anything you can do to change yourself physically will then open your mind and body up to a change. And so it's fundamental. If I'm starting to get confused, nervous, rattled, whatever it is, I say to myself, I change my state. And typically for me, I can't just strap my shoes on and go for a run. So I just drop and do push-ups. And what that tells me is, one, I'm strong. I feel that vitality in my body. Two, I totally have to change my focus, which is very important. You got to change your focus off the path you're on. And so that state change, again, whatever you want to do physically or physiologically, will instantly give you that ability to just rewire yourself. Because all you need to do is rewire it. You're just going down a path that's not resourceful. Cool. Boom. Break it up, and you'll find a path that is resourceful. And it is that simple. Like, people go, really? And I go, oh yeah. Like, I've done it with hundreds of people over the years.
I really appreciate that. And it's amazing how people like Tony Robbins, they just are able to understand how to tap into that energy and understand it. When I was preparing for this podcast episode, I was looking up motivational quotes because I was hoping you would bring up that you work with him and in that organization. And one of the ones that I came across was, identify your problems, but give your power and energy to solutions. And that's a great part to that. It is very, very easy for us to focus on all the negative things or what all the different challenges we're looking at. But that's it. We know what that is. We can't control that, whatever the problem is. It's there. We have to deal with it. But how do we work with that solution? How do we figure that out? Put our energy into that. And then I promise eventually the clarity of what things will start coming forward, because we're focusing on the solutions and not the problems. And traditionally, solutions have more of a positive context to them, where problems, they sound negative. That's why often we don't like to use the word problems as leadership coaches. We talk about challenges because we don't want to turn it into a negative thing. A problem is just something. It's not good. It's bad. It's just something. It's something we need to get through, defeat, whatever, but it's just something. What do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Oh, yeah, lots of thoughts. Our biggest problem in life is we're addicted to our problems. Like, you look around, everywhere you go, people connect by sharing their problems. And it's so much easier to do that. But really, it's not resourceful. It doesn't help. And so really, we got to get off this train we're on about, oh yeah, you've got this, you've got that. Oh, I feel for you. That's, oh my God, I can't believe you're triggered by that. Yeah, certainly it happens. Certainly we're going to get triggered. Certainly there are shitty things that happen to all of us in our life, but spend very little time in that area, because all you're doing is wiring your brain to want more and more of it. And then you get the dopamine release when people go, oh yeah, I really feel good, and let's connect on a negative thing. So you become addicted, like these phones, we get addicted to them because they're giving us this information to stimulate our brains in the wrong way. Like, we need to spend 10% on this problem, 90% on the solution. And leaders, that's what they do. That's when you look at people and you sort of say, wow, that dude stands out. Well, he stands out because he's actually providing a future. He's not the one dwelling on the problem. You look at it and you say, whoa, he figured it out. Yeah, he figured it out because he addressed the problem. He figured out there's a solution, and then he executed on it. And then, of course, everybody rallies around it and they go, wow, you're amazing. It's like, honestly, I don't know if they're that amazing. They've just chosen to look at things in a different way. So they've chosen to be curious, to be able to say, hey, yeah, we have this, but here's a solution. Let's do it. And then people want that type of leadership. And so, yeah, no, I mean, God, I see it all the time in my office. It's people, I mean, I deal in healthcare, right? So people come with a lot of problems. And the one thing I say to the therapist is listen to people, absolutely listen to what they have to say, but then redirect them to the solution. Because that's all they want. They don't want to wallow in the back pain. They don't want to wallow in the car crash. They actually want a future where they say, yeah, you're going to be back skiing. You're going to be done with this car accident. We know how to treat this. This is our specialty. You got to give the people the future that we all want. So, oh yeah, no, I could go on for hours talking about that, Simon.
That's fantastic. I'm a big fan of that. I think too, a lot of times with leaders, it's easy. The assumption can be made that we're by ourselves. And that's partly because in a lot of leadership text and a lot of leadership different doctrines out there, it's like that we're told, okay, you're the leader, you're in charge, everyone's looking at you, all eyes are on you, you have the con, or whatever the term is. But in reality, we're not by ourselves. We're one portion of a team. Someone's got to drive the boat. So we're not alone. And again, Tony Robbins, the one I found was, most days you feel like you're doing everything right. The job, the relationship, the family. But if you find doubts sneaking into your mind, you're not alone. Whether you're not achieving your goals as quickly as you'd like, or you're just feeling stuck. Everyone needs a helping hand sometime. And I think it's important to, in my opinion, and I'd like your thought in the matter, that to remind people that we're not alone, regardless if you're the leader, unless you're the leader of your own team of one, you're not alone. It's a team, it's a group effort. The leader's responsibilities are different than the people that might be doing other things, but you're not by yourself. Don't have the mental image that you're alone on an island and people are in boats circling around you. We're all in it together. We all have a responsibility and our roles. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly over time, as you assume more leadership roles, you can visualize or picture yourself being more isolated. But like you were just mentioning, and as you said with that quote, what's important to understand is, what is your leadership style? Because there are many different leadership styles. For myself, going blind all my life, I've always needed support. I have always needed a team. It doesn't matter if I need to get to the bathroom in a restaurant that I'm not familiar at. I need someone to help me. So my life is about being around people. It's my existence. So for my leadership style is I want to empower certain people to do things, because if I can allocate those resources and they can execute on them, then I can save my energy then to go to the next team member, let them execute on it. So I'm 100% about growing a team around you and making sure that they're clear on what they're doing. You train them, you get committed people, and then you hold them accountable. And ultimately that allows you to do more things and then not be isolated. It's really important. I mean, like in a business world, when you build up a business and you go to work and everybody is your employee or contractor, you can get that isolating feeling that, oh my God, no one understands me. Well, yeah, they probably don't. You own the business, but those are the shoes you're occupying. So go join a group of other business owners and share your experience and see how they grow teams. Everybody has a role, like you mentioned. So if yours is the leadership or the business owner role, then define roles for other people. Because one thing I found, when you get enough people together, you've got a lot of great leaders around you. And you just need to identify them, empower them, and then get them to join the mission.
Oh yeah, and that buy-in is critical. It's something, I mean, we hear it all the time. Get everyone to buy into the whatever's happening, and people will go further. I agree. I do think, though, it is possible that people will do just enough sometimes that they get by, but that's also a reflection of the leader's role inside that organization. People are just skating by to get by. Well, there's a fail going on in there, and I'm okay with using the word fail. we're all going to keep failing all the time, and sugarcoating it, I don't think often is actually going to help anyone face the fact that they may have shit the bed. So I don't know. I think there's some learning in that as well. What do you think?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I could go on for hours about how we've wiped out the ability to hold people accountable, and everybody's supposed to win, and you no longer grade your kids. It's just like that doesn't grow confidence. Like, I get maybe we were too extreme maybe at some point, but people need to be held accountable. I need to know what's right or wrong. I need to know that I can do better. I need to know what the framework is. Like, what's the structure to be successful? And if everybody wins, no one's successful, and no one builds up self-esteem to feel good. So we're just living in this false reality that life is good. And you know it. As a young person, I knew it, even though back then we graded pretty strongly. But I knew in my mind, regardless of the grade I would get, that I wasn't reaching my potential. And you want to reach the psyche, the human being wants to always progress and grow. So if we can't evaluate people, hold them accountable, train them, support them, you don't grow strong citizens, right? We're growing a country of weak people. But meanwhile, we look at each other and go, it's all wonderful.
It's all great. It's all great.
Yeah. It's all awesome. Look at me. It's just, it bores us down. It's almost stupid when you think about it, really. Like, come on. That we're going to flip to the other side soon.
Oh yeah. It'll be interesting to see when I hope the pendulum gets back more to the middle, where people will be more open to being held accountable. It tends to be, and I realize I'm generalizing, that's not always the case, that people will take that and allow their feet to be put to the fire and understood that, hey, you just made a mistake. It's not the end of the world. Mistakes happen all the time. I often talk about the Air Force's, the Canadian Air Force's airworthiness program. It is one of the strongest. It's renowned throughout the world as being one of the strongest, most robust airworthiness programs. And its strength lies in the fact that when it's conducting investigations for safety accidents, that it's not looking for punitive. If that comes up as part of the investigation, that's different. Negligence is different. But at its heart, the goal of the program is to create a culture where people feel safe to report when things have gone well or not so well, to make sure that accidents don't happen again, and that we don't lose lives and we don't lose materiel. And that's a big part of it. I think it's recognizing that mistakes are going to happen. Let's figure it out so we can go forward and not do it again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I say to my team members when they join me, I say, I want you to make mistakes. Make as many mistakes as possible. And if you could do it quickly, that's even better, because what we can do then is solve for that. And if your ability to learn, and if you're a curious individual, you're going to realize what an amazing, like, how you're going to grow, what a person you're going to become, what a therapist you're going to create out of this. My only concern, I say to them, is if you're making the same mistake on the same issue, that's where we really need to drill deep, because something's going wrong here. I'm not training you properly, or you're not listening, or there's something in our approach that needs to change. But the one thing we're not going to change is the fact that you're going to fail. If you don't fail, I can't grow you into an amazing therapist or an amazing staff member. Like, and then I tell them about my life. Like, I'm built on failure. It's the best.
I love the way you talked about that. How excited you are about it. It sucks in the moment, but in hindsight being 2020, it's always a strong thing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I'm wondering if you have any final thoughts, because we've had a great conversation. What are you thinking?
Well, I think the world needs more leaders. I think people need to understand that if they don't think they're the leader, if they're even thinking that, they probably are a leader. They just are feeling in the imposter syndrome. They're feeling the self-doubt. They're feeling all those appropriate feelings that you need to feel. But boy, the world needs people to stand up and be accountable, to be committed, to be able to grow this, like if we're say our country, to be able to grow our country. We're all citizens in this country. We all want very common values, but it comes from leadership, and we need more leaders in diverse roles, because the more we have of that, the more each one of those leaders has then people follow that direction. And diversity is a great thing. So if you're sitting back going, I don't know, I'm not really a leader, but it's fun listening to this podcast, trust me, if you're listening to this podcast, you're a leader. And it's time you take the steps to realize and fulfill your ultimate direction. And that is to lead people in, again, whatever direction you want. It's got to be what you're passionate about. Don't follow other people's path. Find your path, be passionate about it, and then share it with the world.
Listen, Mark, we have had a fantastic conversation, and I'm just curious, before we sign off, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to connect, maybe engage in some leadership coaching or whatever that is, how might they reach out to you?
The simplest place is just markbentz.com. So just M-A-R-K, B as in barbecue, ENTZ.com. That's my website, and that's a place. And then also mark@markbentz.com. That's the email. So that's pretty simple email too.
Fantastic. Of course, links to those contacts will be inside the show notes. And thanks again, Mark, for all of this conversation. This has been a real treat. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I'm grateful for this time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Appreciate being on the podcast. I love it. So it's been a great honor.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's a wrap from the front. In this episode, we talked about all the things that can bother us as leaders. Now, I said all the things, but I think we also know that we didn't talk about all the things. There are many, many different ways that we're going to hurt ourselves, that we're going to talk ourselves down, to doubt ourselves, and do all the different things that new leaders are experiencing in those moments. But in those moments, we talked about the need to find your thing. Find the thing that will help you believe in yourself. Remember to be patient. Trust in yourself. You're there for a reason. And be curious. And lastly, remember that you're not in it alone. Yes, you may be the only leader on that team, but you have a team. Use the team and things will work out. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, leadership without passion limits the depth of your vision.
Never miss an episode by following us on all of your favorite feeds. While you're there, please consider leaving an episode review and let us know what topics you would like to hear about. Be sure to join us next week with your host, Simon Cardinal, for another episode of Trench Leadership, a podcast from the front, produced by iGlen Studios, music provided by Ashamel of Music.